Good morning, everyone. Good morning to the participants of 27 countries attending ITB Academy's webinar on markets in Central Europe. Do you know today what you need to know tomorrow? I hope we can give you some insight, and we do that in partnership with Dr. Alexander Dingeldey, who is with me live from Berlin this morning, and Alex will take over in a few seconds. I just have one remark, and that's about the weather. In Central Europe, it is worse than ever. It rains and it is cold, between 10 and 14 degrees Celsius. So best chances to get Europeans to travel abroad, especially to Asia, where they await other climate zones and other temperatures. So I'll turn to Alex. Enjoy this webinar, and especially if you have questions, refer to him, or if there's in-depth knowledge that you need, please contact him personally. Thank you, and lots of success. Alex, your turn.
Hello, welcome for all the participants. First of all, I will switch off that we can concentrate on the slides. Thank you for all that had been attending the last webinar, and thank you for everybody who asked questions, and we hope that everything has been answered. If you have any questions, use the question and answer box. We'll try to answer them immediately. If there are questions that need a little bit of preparation, feel free to write us an email and get into contact, and we'll try to answer most of the questions or all of the questions as fast as possible. The program for today, what we want, how we want to do, work together. The charts, of course, will be again published on the website, and the webcast will be published on YouTube. So if you have encountering any problems in technical problems, that you can just go back and see the webcast of the whole webinar. It will be published in a few days on the homepage of the ITB Berlin. You can use your box for question and answers. You can ask general questions that everybody can read, and if you can ask private questions directly to us, either on the question Q&A box or per email, and question will be answered as fast as possible. So what we had a few weeks ago, the first part about market information. It was on 15th of May, and now we have tailor-made products and marketing in two modules. The first module is travel needs and behavior of Central European guests, and how companies in Asia can profit from it. And the last but not least module will tell about what Central European guests are expecting from companies, and how you could create or improve your product to make them even a bit more attractive to people from Central Europe. The main motivations for holiday travel can be found in all European source markets, and that's important for the management of national tourism organization and tourism companies in the destination to know what kind of market segments and target groups are important in those segments. And this map of Europe, the segment in light blue, shows that resting and relaxation, that is that one, is the most important travel, mostly in all European countries. And it is particularly strong in, let's say, the Greece, the southern countries, or in the Baltic state. The segment in red shows sun and beach holiday. It's the most motivation for the countries that are disadvantaged with climate conditions. Germany is flooding at the moment, which is very good for you because this is booking weather. If the weather in Germany is bad, people tend to look online on travel websites and dream of nice and good weather. So in general, sun and beach is the most motivation for those countries like Germany, Austria, and especially in Northern Europe, where half a year is winter and it is cold. Those people are, of course, dreaming from dream destinations. Experiencing nature is the white segment. It's particularly important for people with highly industrialized Central European countries, Germany, Austria, Netherlands, and Denmark. Sports and wellness is less important as travel motivation than it's often assumed in the tourism industry. The European average of sport indicated as main holiday motivation is 3%, and wellness and health treatments is 3% of all travelers. But do not forget, people make a sun and beach holiday, and they want to do a little bit of sport, but sport is not the main motivation for them. Above average sporting interest is shown in Hungary, Czech Republic, Scandinavia, Austria, Netherlands, and Germany. Above average interest in wellness and health treatments is shown in the Eastern Europeans as well as Austrians and Germans. Those countries, they have a quite tradition of spa holiday, so this is quite a thing people want to have in their holidays. Motivation touring cities, especially major cities, the dark blue segments for the main holiday is perfectly strong for travelers from France, Spain, and Turkey. City tours are most important motivation for short trips or second or additional trips, and of course for stopover programs in many countries, especially the big Asian metropolitan cities like Bangkok, Singapore, or Hong Kong profit from that Europeans can use them as stopover for a few days and do a city tour there. Cultural and religion-based holiday, this the black, is particularly strong in Austria, Italy, Belgium, Denmark, Netherlands, Germany, Sweden, whereby there's a very big difference between religious interests and general cultural interests. Apart from the motivation, there's a wide range of motivations, increasing in the number as reason, or at least one of the reasons for travel decision. As this survey in European Union study, there are sadly no figures for Switzerland, but the data will be quite similar to Germany and Austria. I want to point out that the circle for the various countries show the share of travel motivations. Remember, shown in the first webinar, the size of population and the travel volume is very different in each country. Our next slide, then this diagram shows, with example of Germany, a wide range of travel motivations. Those motivations have been increased very strongly in the past decades. The situation is quite similar in Austria and Switzerland and all the neighboring countries. Basically, there's a trend that guests want to fulfill as many wishes as possible, sometimes even conflicting wishes during one holiday trip. We call it the multi-optionality of the guests. The trend towards more varied travel motivation also applies to all European source markets. The most motivations is relaxing, resting, and no stress. Getting away from everyday life, sun, warmth, and good weather for those people struggled with bad climate in Central Europe. As you saw from all the years, all the travel motivations were increasing. The thing is, all motivations became more important. The strongest increase is in sun, warmth, and good weather. People are just sick of rain and cold weather, and experiencing nature's beautiful scenery, pure air, clean water. That didn't play any role in 1973. It wasn't included even in the survey in 1973. And plenty of fun and entertainment, having a good time and amusement. You say it is contradictory that people want to relax and have no stress, and they want to have fun and entertainment. This is one of the aspects of the multi-optional guest. You want to relax and to have fun in the same holiday. The destinations and products of Asian suppliers fulfill the motivation of European travelers in various manner and to a high extent. We have a cartoon which we like very much how to illustrate the multi-optional guests who wanted to experience as much as possible during his holiday. It was a title of the Spiegel, which is one of the leading German political magazines, already 20 years ago, but the trend is still there and still going on and kept going, getting stronger. Those multi-optional guests are very hard to classify. They do not fit into cliches. It makes it very hard for the marketing and the marketing designers to make products to fit for them. For example, they can combine low-cost flights with 5-star luxury hotels. They go for fast food for lunch and a gourmet menu for dinner. So they cannot put into groups because those groups are dissolving. Nevertheless, besides, there's a contrary trend with people who search for relaxation, stressless atmosphere. In Germany, there's a lot of deceleration from everyday life. Everything needs to be slower, a bit more sustainable. Generally spoken, there are many market segments and different target groups, bigger and smaller ones, which offer high potentials for destinations, especially in Asia and their tourism products. In respect of the volume, the number of tourists, especially China, including Hong Kong, Macau, and then Thailand and Singapore, India, in Malaysia, profit from the European source markets, more, for instance, than Japan or the Philippines. Remarkable is the high number of guests for comparable small destinations like Singapore or the Maldives. The delivery share of guests arrivals from Germany, Austria, and Switzerland is marked in the colors red, green, and blue. You can see the remarkable share of many destinations, even though there's a source market with 8 million inhabitants is quite small in comparison to 80 million of Germany and all the other European source markets. Germans are known as the world champions of outbound travel, and I would call the Swiss as the world champion in long-haul travel, especially if you see that on capita. You find quite a significant number of Central European guests for all destinations in South and East Asia. The tourism resources of the different destinations and offers of the local and regional suppliers have a high impact in the mix of guests which decide to make their holidays in the various destinations. Interesting is that the preference of German tourists as well as the preference of guests from Austria or Switzerland are quite different. Whether they make the holiday domestically, which means in their own country, whether they make it in Europe or they go to another continent. Because of the weather situation in Central Europe, 50% just decide just for a sun and beach holiday. They fill their energy with lying in the sun so they can survive the cold days in the winter when they go overseas. 26% decide a combination of sun and beach and a sightseeing tour within the destination. And 25% are just choosing round trips to learn about the country, its people, its culture, its heritage, and its nature. Hiking tours or wellness and health as main motivation play a minor role for overseas destinations. But be aware, this chart shows the main motivation of traveling. So additional health and wellness offerings are very good for the travel decision, but they are add-ons that people want to have, but these are not the main criteria. A bit of theory. No company or destination, not even the very big ones, has unlimited financial or human resources to address every source market and client. Concentration of financial and human resources on defined source market and market segments and target groups is, to our opinion, crucial for every NTO and tourism enterprise. Your market segments or your niches can be smaller but bigger, but they should always have a clear definition to make any marketing product development activities more effective. From the economic viewpoint, people from the European countries, as in other markets, can be assigned to larger or smaller target groups. Those target groups can be defined by social characteristics, age, family status, children, no children, age of children, religion, income. But they can also be defined with ownerships, car owners, house owners, boat owners, surfboard owners, diving equipment owners, motorbike owners, pet owners. and more importantly, in the interests and in the behaviors, their hobbies, that kind of sports, what they're doing, the interest in architecture, culture, religion, health, wellness, interests in flora and fauna, their language skills. It is necessary in order to work profitable to concentrate on a special and clearly defined target group or a group of target groups that fit together with equal or similar needs and wishes. Target groups that do not fit together can cause problems. There is a very easy example for that. If you focus on football fans and you have English and German football fans in your own hotel, and England is playing a football match against Germany during your stay, you may have problems with those two groups of guests. By concentrating on your defined target group, you will almost automatically make sure that your offer is tailor-made to the needs and wishes of your potential guests, and by this it's different to your main competitors. The intensity of competition will be lower for you. The higher attraction of your tailor-made products and services will allow you to achieve higher prices, and many successful enterprises in the tourism industry have been proving that the strategy is right. But today, as I said, the multi-optional guests, today we have to pay attention. The same client can belong to different target groups due his needs and wishes during his holiday, and even within the same stay. So we have clients, for instance, who come to a country for a round trip, accepting a very basic accommodation and F&B during the round trip. But for the additional sun and beach holiday, he wants to have a 5-star deluxe hotel with all the bells and whistles. The range of different target groups in Central Europe is for the different Asian destinations. There is, for instance, small target groups of well-to-do clients which are willing to pay a lot of money to sit alone on the rock in the desert during sunset, with no comfort around, but just experiencing the nature. Others have the high interest to get near and watch rare animals or natural surrounding, or others take part in religious ceremonies, sometimes of small ethnic communities, and sometimes of things just to go out of stress. Others use the bicycle to cycle whole continents, or want to explore fascinating unspoiled underwater world. But there is a bigger segment of guests which are interested in just 5-star luxury sun and beach hotel and fine international cuisine. Sometimes they only make only a half-day excursion as an alibi to the surrounding of the hotel, with the main motivation to make photos and show their neighbors the interesting pictures. 100 million German-speaking guests in Central Europe. They are quite hard to address. The target groups in Central Europe are more or less organized. Just an example, there are some elderly ladies playing bridge over the week. They meet once a week to play cards, and besides that, they usually have some interests in common. They have personal health, and they like spas and Ayurveda. And those ladies can be organized in a bridge club with similar interests, and those bridge clubs usually tend to travel together. So people with similar interests, if they are organized in clubs, unions, communities, have the advantage that you usually easily can reach them, because they have membership lists, they have regular publications within those groups, they have internal websites, and they are connected via social media in dedicated channels. This photo shows only a very small extent from magazines in the display, and this is only the travel section of all the magazines in a very small news agency. The large number of magazine titles gives you an impression how publishers appeal to different target groups with their interests, and those publishers earn money with that. Important for the point of access for target groups is the people with the same interests and behaviors is the type of organization, the degree of organization, and the possibility to reach them through a certain media. So if you're interested in golf players, golf clubs are quite a good way to how to reach them. Divers can be organized in special diving clubs. So sport clubs have a very high example. But there are church communities, and those church communities usually they do not only meet for Sunday for the regular service, but sometimes they meet for 2 or 3 times a year, and they travel together as a whole church group. Trade unions have groups not only fighting against capitalism, they usually like a capitalist life in the holiday as well, or political parties, or a wide range of friendship and working groups. There's increasing number of Asian-oriented groups. People are interested in Asian people, Asian lifestyle, their culture, their religion, their history, their nature, their cuisine, and Asian medicine, the knowledge of physical health. These interest groups use conventional media and, of course, more increasingly online media, specific forums, portals, groups, Facebook groups, and thus their specific networks. Online networks cause the virtualization of the social relations, so they become independent of their location. They can become friends with the same interests all over the country. But those groups easily can be used as contact points for your business. Existing and constantly creating new groups and networks give opportunities for you. Let's continue to Module 4, our last but not least module. What our guests from Central Europe are expecting from destinations and tourism companies in Asia? What kinds of products and services with a high potential demand? One important point is important for you is to define your target group or your target groups within the source market which you want to address, and the language skills which you want to offer your guests and your potential guests. This depends naturally on the language skills of the Europeans, which are very, very different in the different source markets. Some countries which had a tight connection to Central European countries, because they sent a high number of guest workers, have the advantage that these guest workers and their children speak, besides their mother tongue, they still the language of their parents. This can be Turkish, Spanish, Italian, Croatian, Portuguese, and the Middle European language of the place where they are living, so German, Dutch, Danish, Norwegian, Swedish, and in addition as well English. As they work often nowadays in the tourism enterprises, these and in their native countries, they are very good help for acquisition and care of guests during their stay. So people knowing both cultures and both the source and markets and the destinations are very good ambassadors and good people working in the tourism industry. This chart shows the knowledge of English in the European Union. Is what is also made by the European Union. What is very helpful for enterprises in Asia, Asian which cannot give services in other languages but English, is the fact that in many European schools, English is now the first language which children are learning besides their mother tongue. This means that educated people, what would correspond to most of your target groups, speak very good English to communicate with them for booking and servicing during the stay. Although there is a majority of Central European speaking English, there is still a high number of people, especially the older generation, not able or willing to speak a foreign language. Not every European speaks English. But just a remark, this survey is about 5 years old, so the number of people speaking English increased, of course, in the meantime. Nevertheless, if you are able to offer your skills in another European language, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, Dutch, Danish, or German, your acceptance in the various countries is much higher. For your products and services, it will give you a unique feature. Guests which you did care for you in their own mother tongue, and therefore will be more satisfied with your product. Surely it will give you another mouth-to-mouth advertising and will make your product again more attractive. For Central Europe, it is very helpful to have at least a few German-speaking staff members. If this is not possible, it helps to have predefined information in the corresponding languages in German. So create a German website, create brochures, create your hotel guidebooks, your hotel directory, your hotel infos in German. But please invest some time and money in a proper translation. So let a German native speaker read it for you. Google translations is not enough. They may be very funny, but that's not enough. But last but not least, don't forget, besides a good service, body language is very, very helpful. Smiling is an international language. People from Central Europe do expect that, and especially from the Asian hosts. And in most Asian destinations, the born-in friendliness is a competitive advantage. This chart shows you the main activities of German travelers during the holidays. Remember, no data for Austria and Switzerland, but they are quite similar. To choose your source market segments and target groups, and to set up your product design, it is useful to know what they're doing during the holidays. The majority of Central European guests is interested in the surrounding of their holiday destination. 69% make excursions to the surrounding of their stay, sometimes only for half a day. As I mentioned, the alibi excursions make pictures to impress the neighbors and friends with their very expensive holiday. Food and beverage is naturally very important for everyone, and it's important for you. Your guests from Central Europe are interested in enjoying local specialties. They do not want to have the homegrown food. They can eat that every day. They want to experience the food of their host country. If you come to European cities, therefore, you find very international restaurants and Asian cuisine. You find that in the city centers and outskirts of all European cities. Even this Asian food offered in Europe is quite sometimes different from the original one. Besides the food and beverage, the following activities are very important to many holidaymakers. Bathing in the sea or lake, 58%, is preferred to swimming in a swimming pool, 41%. So it seems most Europeans, they are more interested in a nice beach than in a big swimming pool. But both together is much more attractive. But if you have the decision in refurbishing your swimming pool or doing something at the beach, I would invest my money a bit more into the beach. Further activities, especially shopping and window shopping. Resting and sleeping a lot, 52%. This need is decreasing with the length of stays of the individual holiday. For a one-week holiday with a stressful job, people want to relax. If they're going on a 3-week tour, resting and sleeping a lot is not that much important. Going for walks, going on sites of natural beauty like waterfalls, mountains, beaches, highlands, islands, and natural reserves. Quite important for the people is as well social activities, making holiday friendships or playing with their children. This can be fulfilled more easily if you have a special defined target group, and therefore the section of guests fit together with the same social criteria. Interests and behavior. Birds of the same feather flock together. Quite small seem the number of clients that have interests in diving, fishing, health, and spa facilities, wellness and beauty, as well as active sport like cycling or golf. But don't forget, those 3% have a base of 100 million German-speaking people. So 3% are 3 million people of your target group. Main interest means that those items are very important for the holiday making. They're quite often organized. They're quite interesting for you is that 20% are using the bicycle during the holiday. It becomes quite trendy to use the bicycle in the holiday destinations and to explore the surrounding. In European cities, bicycle tours became quite popular, and some other European cities, they offer bicycles to rent for the tourists to explore cities on the bicycle. I know some cities you should not do that because you risk your life with the dangerous traffic around, but usual Central Europeans love to use their bicycle, even having their car in the garage at home. The general accommodation is responsible for 65% of the total satisfaction of the holiday guests. There is, however, a big difference in the various target groups. If the destination and other attractions are very important, the hotel doesn't matter that much for the clients. In these cases, they are quite often satisfied with a very basic level in accommodation. But for some people from Central Europe, accommodation can be very simple, but it must be clean and hygienic. We have been researching the amenities of a perfect hotel for many hotel enterprises in the past decades. Those has been work for the clients, so it hasn't been published. But we can show you a little bit of the facts that we've done as a research work for our clients. There are very big differences in the various target groups, but there are some features which are generally very important for you. And all those features usually mean quite a lot of investments in hotels. If you go to the bedroom, double bed is the preferred size of bed that Germans want to have, so 2 by 1 meter, and they want to have a German-style quilt. Think about Middle European grow quite tall. Average Germans are 1 meter and 80 centimeters, and some are even over 2 meters. And if the bed is too small, the sleeping experience is suffering. Quite important is a safe, and it should be easy to operate without a degree in engineering. It should be big enough for a laptop computer and possible with a power plug to recharge your gadgets that you store inside the safe. Power adapters for the various and if you have various international plugs and spare charging cables for the iPhones, Blackberries, and all the gadgets, that would be very guest-oriented, because nearly every traveler is taking their gadgets on their trips. Air conditioning is important, but it's also important that you can switch it off. Middle Europeans are usually not used to have an air conditioned at home. Besides air conditioning, they want to have windows that can be opened. And if you need it in your destination, have a protection against insects. Your clients may not be familiar with your local killer mosquitoes, and you should give them an explicit warning of them. Most Europeans enjoy a hotel room with a nice view, with a balcony and a terrace. A blackout curtain or window shade is mandatory for a perfect sleep. And the bathroom, which is usually a little bit more important for the ladies than for the gentlemen, they prefer a shower over a bathtub. The shower should have real screens instead of curtains. In most bathrooms, there's always a lack of shelf space or a cloth line. So quite a small investment to have a bit of shelf space in your hotel room, and makes people very happy. It would be nice that the toilet is separated from the bathroom. And again, the whole bathroom and the shower should be operated easily and not with a degree of engineering. I know there are bathrooms that look very fancy, but if you study a manual for 10 minutes in knowing how to switch on a shower, that can lead to a little bit of dissatisfaction. A hairdryer, separate makeup mirror are little investments, but are highly appreciated. A little bit about food and beverage. There are more or less open-minded clients. The adventurous types, they will accept any kind of food which is habit in the destination. Asian food is accepted or even highly welcome for lunch and dinner. A little bit different is the reaction concerning breakfast. The start of the day usually should be traditional and a little bit like home. Therefore, a lot of hotels, even in Asia, with an international mix of guests, offer breakfasts for various people in the source markets of the world. our experience is those offers are highly appreciated. So every nation can pick out the offerings they want to have. European guests are very heterogeneous in their breakfast habits. An English breakfast, however, will be accepted by most of them. However, if you go into hotels in Europe, they get a very broad offer on a breakfast buffet. If you're addressing your product to French or Italian guests, coffee and a croissant may be quite enough, but so there's guests from England have, of course, a full English breakfast. Just to give you an idea what guests from Central Europe would be like for breakfast buffet, that's usually it is mandatory to have bread, butter, jam, and cold cuts of cheese, ham, and sausages. Germans like croissant and toast bread, but what they really love is their German-style bread. If you manage to have this or a small variety of this on your breakfast buffet, you will be praised for that. For cereals, it's more Swiss-style muesli and yogurt, and not so much the sugar-coated cornflakes. There should be, of course, a wide range of fresh fruit, and it is highly appreciated if they are grown regional. And if you take regional food, make clear that it is regional. In the eyes of Europeans, this is healthy and it supports sustainability. You save your life and the life of the world by just having fresh fruits. English-style eggs and warm sausages, they are nice. People will eat it, but that is not obligatory for Central Europeans for everyday breakfast. They prefer more coffee than tea. Use Italian cappuccino as a benchmark. Concerning food and beverage, one general idea is important. In case the region has problems of supply and you cannot fulfill the needs and wishes for a few guests of Central Europeans, dairy products come into my mind. They will be satisfied with alternatives which are the habit in the different destinations. But, however, it is very necessary that you explain why the offer is like it presented. So it is that don't pay an arm and a leg to offer a very high range of different sorts of cheese. If it is nearly impossible to get them, it is you can skip them, but you have to explain that to your clients. Sometimes fruits are out of season. People want to expect a special kind of fruit, but they are satisfied with the explanation that it is not season for the food. Some foods have import restrictions and are not grown in the country, so they need an explanation for that. For F&B products which are unknown for the guests from Central Europe, it is very helpful to give them an explanation about the name, growing conditions, how you eat it, and then they will try it. And one last word for the restaurants. As the weather at home is usually very bad, Germans, Swiss and Austrians love to sit outside instead of an air-conditioned room, even better if they have a nice view. The facilities which a hotel should offer naturally depend on the location, the market segment, the target groups which are you catering for. As a guideline, we have a very small list of features which are very important for decision making if you're able to make it. For sun and beach holiday makers, direct access to the beach and a swimming pool is crucial. A sandy beach with palms, warm water is a synonymous for a paradise destination. In case of health problems, there should be access to a doctor which speaks preferably German or English. This feature is even important for the decision of the hotel. People want to have this information in advance and for the decision, and it makes them feeling more secure, even if 99% of the guests won't use this feature. Still, for many guests, expect help with their luggage. A small shop with everyday products, things forgotten like toothbrush, sunscreen, and even sunblocker for the pale Europeans with a fear of sunburn. So that should be either within the hotel or in the near destination. Wireless internet should be available without additional costs. And I know Most Asian hotels are much more advanced than European hotels for that. If you are catering for children, it's a strategic decision, then you should do that with a high-quality facilities, playground, special swimming pool, baby, childcare, nanny service. If you care for children and decide to work for them, then do it properly or skip the segment. If you do it good, the service will increase the attraction of the hotel. A last word to guest relations. The cliché of Asian smile and friendliness is highly appreciated and is a competitive advantage of most Asian tourism enterprises and Asians. In the eye of many Europeans, Asians seem to be born with a friendly character. I know that the reality can be different, but the usual average German guest expect it. They expect the friendliness, and they are very disappointed if this cliché is not experienced. European guests expect the fulfillment of the promised offer by 100%. It is very common that they compare your offer with the offer of the brochures, catalog, and the internet, and what they get during the holiday. So never ever promise things that you cannot fulfill. A little more is possible, will be accepted with a positive surprise. Less will be lead to hefty complaints and even to lawsuit. In case you cannot deliver a promised service, please inform your guests honestly and inform them as fast as possible. If you can, before they arrive. If not possible, after arrival, immediately. In case of complaints, it fits to the communication habits of European customers that the management and the staff of the enterprise is prepared to listen and to accept the complaints were justified. For European guests, it is important to know who is responsible, caring, and to solve the problem. They dislike if the responsibility is forwarded from one person to another, or they say, oh, we may solve the problem tomorrow or in a week. They want immediate reactions. So the next step is the immediate remedy or compensation in cases where you work together with partnering tour operators and travel agents. The complaint must be documented in case of a lawsuit. 95% of lawsuits can be avoided with a good and perfect communication and complaint management. It avoids negative mouth-to-mouth advertising and reports in the media. One more tip, monitoring the social media in the languages of your guests is very helpful to learn about your products and services, and they're the image in the eye of the guests. So it would be very good to read your, if something is written in German or other European language, what is written about your product and your hotel. My last slide, how to conclude, how to improve the access on the Central European source markets. Follow the economic and traveling development in the European source markets. Look at the first webinar for that again. Target the interests and aspirations of potential guests, the social structure, the possessions, interests, and behaviors. Have a clear definition of the source markets and target groups for your products in any adaptation. Deliver good online information about your product, even if it is booked via tour operators, and deliver this online information if possible in the language of the target of the source markets you want to address. Still see tour operators as a valuable partner for your product, the big all-rounders or the smaller specialists for package and modules. Set up a dialogue marketing to secure repeaters and recommendations, and those dialogue marketings can be quite easily set up with social media. Hold contact to the market experts, knowing customers and the players in the market to make your best selection. And nevertheless, good ideas matter, not the big budgets. So I just have personal questions. Don't hesitate to ask and send us your individual questions. We would be very interested to know how you judge the idea of a personal-led one-day seminar. For more deeper information, just before or after the ITB Asia in October in Singapore. So if you are interested in that, we would be quite appreciated if you drop us a little note. And nevertheless, we of course will attend the ITB Asia in Singapore. There is the possibility to meet us in person there, and of course the next ITB in Berlin next year. So we are now free to answer questions. Thank you very much for listening. So if there are any questions, just use your question and answer box. Of course, you can get the presentation slides. We will publish them on the ITB website. So again, feel free to, if you encounter any questions, that will be later on. The slides will be published. You'll find our email addresses again on them. Feel free to drop us a line, and that we can provide you with additional information. Then, thank you very much for listening to us, and see you again on the ITB Asia and the ITB Jeff, really, what are the 5 most visited Asian countries for German? I go back to the slides. I have to group them. The data is on that slide. The question is a bit hard to answer because this is WTO data. So if you see the red segments, Jeff, if you drop me an email, I take the data out of the slide and group it, and then you can see the actual figures that are behind the slide. So it is Maldives are a very big one, Singapore, Thailand. Okay, I'll do that, and I'll send you the raw data for the tourist arrivals. They can do the analysis for that. Okay, thank you, Jeff. Okay, do not forget to, there is a survey to evaluate the webinar. We're very happy. It helps us to improve our products if you fill out the questionnaire and the survey about the webinar. And again, see you again on the in Singapore or in Berlin. Thank you very much.